Okay, so back for another cook along. Week 6, week 7, can't remember, but yeah, good to see you guys again. This week we are making pizza by request of a number of you who sent in your pictures and commented on some of the videos that we've already got up on YouTube. Pizza is one of my favourite things to make. Really, really simple. We're going to make everything from scratch. So just go. The ingredients list is in the description if you're just watching this and want to do it later on. But basically we have some flour. Oh, I forgot my yeast. I always forget something, but I'm going to grab that in a second. So a packet of yeast, some salt, some sugar. I got a tin of tomatoes. We've got some cheese. I got a little bit of chorizo, salt. That's it. Bit of oil. Really, really simple. I'm going to grab the 2 bits that I've missed. In fact, no. What we're going to do first is we're going to get the sauce started. Right. So I'm going to get my pan on, medium. Okay. Start with an onion. The usual way of chopping the onion. So down the middle. Okay, so you've got top and bottom. Take the top off. Leave the root side on, both ends. Okay, now you can just peel the onion back, like so, and you've got something to hold on to for the next bit. So peel that back, like so. So you've got like that. Okay. Then run your knife lengthways along the onion. Oh, you got my fingers then, that'd be embarrassing. Same again on this side, all the way along, so the onions should still fall apart. I'm not chopping all the way to the end. I have shown this in lots of videos before, but I keep repeating it because people forget. I'm just going to put a bit of oil in there because it's getting a little bit tasty already. And then just now sliced it all the way down, so you'll see it's kind of fanned like that, if you're not following. It's still hot all together, and then all you need to do, because of the layers, is just slice across. Okay, you get lovely small bits of onion, which is what you want for a sauce, you know, because you don't want massive chunks of onion in your pizza sauce. A lot of times when I'm working with young people in the youth centre and we put onion, we get onions, oh I don't like onions, I'm like, trust me mate, it's in every pizza sauce you ever eaten. Yeah? People just don't realise. But you will realise if they're massive, so chop it up, take some time, chop it up nice and finely. Start to sweat those down. It's always good to add a little bit of salt at this point. Helps to draw the moisture out of the onion, trying to intensify the flavour, and we do that by drawing the moisture out. Okay, that's going real hot, so I'm going to turn it down a touch. Don't want them to overcook. And then we're going to go for some garlic. So again, same drill nearly every week, I believe. It is. Okay, so you're going to go for 3 cloves here. Put them onto your board. Take the side of your knife. Pop. Okay, peel really, really easily. Onions cooking fast today. This thing is just so hot, it's absolutely crazy. Hopefully you only want like a medium heat. You don't want to cook these, like you don't want them caramelising, you just want to sweat them down. Okay, so then we're just going to, well you can do the seesaw method. So you put your hand on top of the knife, chop backwards and forwards like that. Into nice, fine, again you don't want big chunks of garlic in your pizza sauce. Right, so I'm going to stick that in there. Realise I forgot my tomatoes as well, so bear with me 2 seconds. I'm going to grab my yeast and my tomatoes. Knocked off stuff out the cupboards in the work process. There's my yeast, and I have you guys. Anyone who's had the delivery today has got passata, which is basically blended tomatoes, which is better than what I'm using. I thought I had some here. I don't. I'm improvising with a can of chunky chopped tomatoes. That'll be absolutely fine though. Okay, so onions. Oh, you never guess. So I've just tried to open the lid and I've popped it off. So I'm gonna have to get my tin open now. 1 second. Sorry about this, guys. Okay, so I'm actually only making 1 pizza. There's only me here, so I'm going to use just half of the tub because I don't need that much sauce. I might use some. It's good. You can make extra though, and makes a real good basic tomato sauce. You know, like for pasta or whatever. Yeah, put in a base of a stew. So you could make more and save it. It will freeze. Okay, I'm just going to work those tomato sauce into there. Lovely, and then all else we need in there is a little bit of salt, teaspoon of sugar. I'm going to use a pinch from my hand. Sugar just brings out the natural sweetness in the tomatoes, and then some mixed herbs, dried mixed herbs. A teaspoon of those. and just let it kind of cook down for a few minutes. Just let everything cook together, make sure that the garlic and everything infuses, and that's your pizza sauce. It's really, really, really simple. Okay. Now you want to really use that cold, so it's good to get that made in advance. Okay, so once that's come up to heat and cooked, take it off the heat, let it chill. I'm just going to clear my sides and I'll talk to you about the dough. Okay, so I've got here 600 grams of strong white bread flour. It's important you use strong white bread flour and not plain flour. It's got more gluten. When you knead it, which you'll see in a minute, it's going to stretch more. It's going to make your dough a lot fluffier, a lot more better texture. It's just better. Alright, so get some bread flour if we haven't already delivered it to you. So make a well. You'll see in the middle here. Make a well in the centre of your flour, so you end up kind of like with like a volcano kind of shape. Alright, and then I'm going to take your fast action yeast, so 1 packet, few teeth, it's only me eating it so I'm not worried about it. Okay, into the hole there in the middle, all of your yeast. That. Then we're going to use a teaspoon of sugar. The sugar now helps to activate the yeast. It's going to make things happen more quickly. Okay, and then a pinch of salt. Teaspoon of salt. Lovely job. Right. Next thing, water, which I also left in here. Here we are. So warm water, guys. Use warm water, not cold water. Warm water, because the warmth will help the yeast to activate and come more quickly. Now, for this, the best thing you could do really is make this the day before. Leave it in the fridge to rise overnight, and it's really good to use that way. You're probably not going to do that now, but if you're watching this and thinking you might do it later, make the dough the night before, and you can make the sauce the night before as well. And then just knock it back, which I'll show you in the next stage, and you're ready to go. It's much better if you leave it overnight, but you can get this to rise within about an hour if you want to do it now. Okay, so you are going to have some time for that to cool. I don't know, go and watch some telly or go out on your bike or something, and then come back, and it should have doubled in size. So I've just poured some water into that hot well now, and what I'm doing is working the flour. So there's still dry flour around the outside, but in the middle we're kind of starting to work all those ingredients together. And then bit by bit, I'm just going to add a tiny bit more water. And you want it to just be enough to pull all of the flour together. So when you run your hand, I'm going to use my hands to mix it through, and it's starting to come together into a ball. Now, if it still feels sticky, stop, because you don't want it to be too sticky. You want it to almost come away from your fingers. Your hands are going to get a bit dirty. You're going to get a bit left on it, but you don't want it to be like super sticky. If you do put too much water in, just add a bit more flour, and it'll come back. All right. But try to add not so much water. And just, you can always add more, you can't take it out, we always say that. So, got the dough there now. Now that looks pretty rough, doesn't look like a dough, it's because it needs to be kneaded. So you need to take a little bit of extra flour, just a pinch, on a surface like this. And I'm just going to do what we call kneading. So, I'm just going to roll it in the flour, so that just enough so it doesn't stick to your hands. So I've got a few bits that are still sticking to my hands here. So I'm going to get off and into the dough. And then, don't add any more flour until the dough starts to stick to your hands. So if it's getting sticky, add more flour to stop it from sticking to you or the table. But if it's not sticking, and it's just about sticking, keep it, because the softer you can end up with this dough, the better. And basically what you need to do is knead the dough, which is, if you see what I'm doing, I'm taking the ball like that, I'm not folding it over and folding the dryness into it, I'm literally just crushing it and stretching it with the palm of my hand. You can even roll it into sausage if you like, and fold and roll. But basically stretching the dough, and that's stretching all the gluten in the flour, which is going to make your dough really amazing. All right. So just going to keep stretching that for a little bit longer. I'm not going to keep you guys need to do it a bit longer than I have. All right, because I wanted to do this for years. Here's one I made earlier. Alright, so you keep kneading for a few minutes. I am ahead of the game. So you'll just see that's the kind of size of the ball there you'll be expecting. You can see that. This one I made last night, overnight. So once you've kneaded it and it's nice and stretchy and elasticy, cover it over with some cling film like I have with this bowl. Leave it in the fridge, or if you want to do it quickly, leave it somewhere warm. It should rise and double in size within an hour, and you'll end up with something that looks like that. Okay? So, now you'll see, I'm going to gently lift this out of the bowl. Now before you put this in, I forgot to mention this. When you've stretched your dough and kneaded it and it's all ready to go, take a little bit of cooking oil, like this, okay, in the palm of your hand, tiny bit, and just coat the outside. Don't rub it in, just coat the outside very lightly with the ball before it goes back in the bowl, okay? Because then, when you come to lift it out the next day or later on, it won't, hopefully, stick to the bowl like this one. So that's all come out clean, alright? So now what we do is called knocking the dough back. So there's air in there, it's all risen, alright? That's where the yeast has been activated. So what you need to do now is knead it again, alright? So you're knocking all the air back out of the dough. Okay. So that's that done. Right. Now, there's not too much of a mess here for you to see what's going on. I'm going to have a tray ready here for this to go onto. So this will make, I've done half measures, but your measurement should do maybe 4 or 5 pizzas, I would say. So you take a ball about the size of a tennis ball, maybe a little bit bigger. Take a little bit of flour onto the board, tap it either side, make sure it's soft, and then basically you're just going to roll out pizza shape. Now, if you haven't got a rolling pin, see Mum and Dad's got a bottle of wine you can use. I went to a place called Lucali's in New York, which is arguably the best pizza place in New York. It's where Jay-Z and Beyonce go out and eat all the time, and those guys roll all their pizzas with a wine bottle, so if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. I'm going to just roll that out. So you're just going to make sure it's even, alright? And I don't tend to finish my pizzas with a rolling pin. I get them kind of flat, which I'll show you in a sec. But when they're still half a centimetre thick, it's actually really good to hand stretch them. So like you've seen, you know, in the pictures of people in Italy where they're spinning above their head, I can't do any of that, right? But what you can do is hold the dough, so you've got it to this sort of size, okay? And now you see I'm kind of pinching, so there's a crust. And then as I pinch, the weight of the dough is stretching, so it's getting bigger. And you go round and round and round and round and round, and you can stretch it a bit like that if you want. You start to stretch the dough out. Okay. Now you want to have a nice little bit of a crust at the end. So if it's a bit thicker at the edges because you've done this process and thinner in the middle, that is not going to hurt. All right. What you don't want is really thin, horrible edges that you've crushed with a rolling pin, because they will go all crispy and burnt. Yeah. So the edges being thick mean you get a nice crust. You don't burn anything. All right. So that will do me. That's a good pizza size. Okay. So what I'm going to do with this board now. Sorry, not board, on a tray. You need to do this on a tray, because if you do it on the side and then try and lift it onto the tray, it ain't going to happen and your toppings are going to go everywhere. So put a bit of flour on the tray and then put your pizza dough down. Right, with the back of a spoon, I'm going to take some of your pizza sauce, usually 1 or 2 spoons. Don't go too thick with it, just put a little bit on, okay? Because otherwise you'll have a really soggy pizza. So you should be able to still see through the sauce. I'm just going to lift that up for you once I've done it. So like that, yeah? Make sure you don't go over the edges, because if you do, it'll burn to the tray and it'll be hard to get off the tray. Alright, so make sure you leave that crust. Realise I've forgotten my cheese grater as well. 2 seconds. One day, I will not forget anything, I swear. One day. Right. Okay, so I'm going to go for a little bit of this. This is actually red Leicester, but you could use cheddar, any hard cheese really. Okay, just going to go for the cheese on the base first. And today, I'm just going to have chorizo on mine. You guys can choose whatever you want. In fact, I'd be willing to give a prize to the most imaginative toppings that we get from this. So I'm not going to preach to you about what toppings to put on a pizza. You guys know what you like. okay? But I'd love to see what you come up with. So you send me a picture, let me know. The best one next week, I will personally send you a prize. Okay? I'm going to take this chorizo, which is just like it's like pepperoni, but in Spanish. And it's actually, mine comes in the sausage form, so I'm just going to slice some. You can buy it sliced quite easily. I like it quite thick cut though, so buying it yourself means you can cut it really thickly. And you always got to try a little bit as well. Love it. Right, so pop those on. By the way, I should have said, you need to heat your oven up as hot as it will go really. Put it on to about 220. It won't take very long. The hotter the pizza oven, the better the pizza is going to come out. And then finally, you've got some mozzarella, which is like very soft cheese. And when you get your pizza, you know when you get that string pull, that is mozzarella. Okay, so you have to empty the water out of the bag, and you end up with this ball. And then you just pinch pieces onto the pizza, all over, and that will melt into the other cheese to give you some delicious ooziness to your pizza. Right, and there we have it. That's going to go in the oven for 10 minutes. Keep an eye on it. As soon as the cheese is brown and the edges are brown, it's done. I haven't got a done one to show you, so good luck. Send me your results. Okay, if you enjoyed this, please share it, like, comment, get on it, and remember to let me know if you've got any requests for next week. Thanks again for watching. Hope you have a great weekend. It's really raining, miserable weekend, I believe, this weekend, so get some pizza in you, feed your family. We'll see you next time. Nice one.